Hi guys, how are you?
Hello. All good.
Thank you guys. I know it's hard to be indoors today, especially when the weather is like this. I'm glad we were able to connect. So I think we're gonna wait a few minutes, but given the fact that we only have about 40 minutes for the call, I've prepared a little bit of an agenda. So last week when we met, we started working on a project that involved creating a simple web application that connected with Puppeteer in order to be able to try to use ChatGPT to automatically test. And then once the errors come back to the web application, then we could feed that back into ChatGPT and automate that whole process of being able to test an application and allow it to write a little bit more functionality and kind of move us to a little bit of a higher level of abstraction, so we can work a little further up in the application and more focus on the architecture. So this is what we were striving for, and we started that project. Now, before we start or continue, I wanted to ask if anyone was interested or had a project of their own that they wanted to try. Again, I can drive on my side, as in I can set up the repo and we can create some kind of UI, or any project that you guys may be interested in using Node.js, JavaScript, HTML, and we can even go use one of the frameworks, although that may take a little bit of time to set up. So given the fact that we have a little bit of time constraint, is there anyone interested in wanting to see something come to life from ChatGPT that they were curious about or interested in? Okay, perfect. So what I'll do is I'll just continue. I'll share this agenda. I'll continue with the Puppeteer example and using ChatGPT. And if anyone wants to, at any point, let me know if they have any questions. We'll tackle those, of course. And I'll leave about 10 minutes towards the end to talk about some of the other things that are happening that could be helpful when it comes to career growth or just moving through prototyping and delivering your projects faster. So I'm going to share this agenda here on Zoom. It should be accessible. Also, I'd like to welcome people from the Learn AI Together community on Discord. I highly encourage you that you join this community because there's a lot of really good resources here that you may be able to benefit from. One of the really curious things or really interesting things that I saw today was some of the conversation evolving around deep fakes and video generation and those types of things. So I'm pretty sure I've attached the link here. Yeah, discord.gg learn together. So you can click on that, you can sign up, and I think you'll yield a lot of good benefits. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can always raise them here with this community. I really have a lot of nice things to say about what they've done. Luke here, he's in charge of this community, so he's done an incredible job. And if you have questions specific to ChatGPT 4 or learning to prompt or Midjourney, whatever you may have, it's here. Okay, so I will just continue to where we left off. So let me just reintroduce the project really quickly. Let me make sure that this is hidden. Okay, perfect. So we have an index.html, which is right here. This was generated by our ChatGPT. There's some sounds coming. If you have a questions, you can unmute yourself, but otherwise, if you'd be kind enough to mute yourself, that would be amazing. Okay, so this is our last session with ChatGPT. And essentially, we asked ChatGPT to generate some HTML, so it generated the index. and it generated a button that says click me, and that is visible here. So this is what ChatGPT generated, and if you click me, there's a type error. Normally, you would like something more positive than a type error, but we are trying to automate the pipeline of trying to automate a website communicating back to ChatGPT. And the reason why that's interesting is, again, because you can then focus on more prompting ChatGPT about the features that you'd like to develop and not have to worry about testing your code. So we're trying to automate that aspect of it. So it generated the HTML. Now, it doesn't automatically modularize code. So we asked it to modularize the code for us right from the beginning. And the reason why this is important, so the way we prompted it, you extract the alert function into an external JS file. And that's what it did. And this is important as the project grows. And as you keep talking to ChatGPT, the reason being is because if there is too many lines of code for it to process, it's having a really difficult time right now to be able to make adjustments. And when it tries to make adjustments, it makes adjustments to the whole code. And then you're just waiting there looking at how it's printing new code to the screen. So that is kind of the benefit also of modularizing, not only to make your structure flexible, but also to get quicker using ChatGPT. And then we asked to install some, we asked to create a type error, which is what we were interested in. One of the attendees during last week's meetup also suggested that we try to convert this code into an Angular code base. So right now there is a lot of conflicting, or there is always conflict around which framework is better, whether it's React or whether it's Angular or whether it's Svelte or any other of the new frameworks that are there. And we just take all the magic out of that conversation because we can simply convert any of the code that we currently have into an Angular, a React, a Svelte, a Vue, whatever framework you'd like to use, and have that available. So here we ask ChatGPT, may you please convert the code that we have into Angular code? And this is what the Angular code looks like. If you wanted to React code, again, you could convert it to React code. And then we started playing around with trying to do the testing. So right now we have the index, we have the welcome.js that is consumed, and then we have a test folder here. And this is a test that was generated using Puppeteer for us. And so really quickly, I'll just skip through it. And I'm now going to demonstrate where we kind of are stuck now. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions? Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, because someone said I was muted, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we can hear you, I think.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm gonna just check on here. We were in a chat here. Okay, I'll update the chat here a little bit later. Again, this is from the Discord community. Okay, so this is what we're striving for. So right now, I have a terminal running. I did npx http server. So if you want to follow along, everything is in this repository, April 9. I'm just going to share it. It's also in the agenda, but just for the purposes of this demo, if you want to go along, you can just download this, and then you can do npm i, and then you run this npx http server. All it does, it just gives you an HTTP server on port 8080, and then that's where we're going to go to our page. Okay, so we have our page here, and it has this click me functionality, which is great. But we want to try to figure out how we can use this test in order to test the page that we are working on and test if this capture this type error into our command line. Some of the innovation that has happened recently is that there are a few projects where they are able to control a Linux container, for example, leveraging the output that is given to you by the output of the terminal. So essentially, when Linux gives you output in the terminal, you can feed that back into ChatGPT, and then it can keep correcting itself or executing next function. So that is the idea here, just to reiterate. So we're going to try to capture this error, so then we can call ChatGPT directly with this error, and then ChatGPT should be able to figure out what to do next based on this, which is most likely going to choose to edit and modify some of the existing code. And we're going to try over time to develop the tooling that is going to help us do that. Okay, so I have the server running. In the next browser, I am going to run this command, node -- inspect brk breakpoint. It is here, so you can just copy and paste it. And if I press enter, the remaining thing I have to go is to go to Chrome. Oh, sorry, my version of Chrome. Oops. Inspect. And then we're going to open this in DevTools. And once we play this, Chromium is going to open up. And we're going to try to step through it to see that this is getting executed. So I'm just want to check. So there is a type error here. The reason why this type error is here is because we were able to execute using Puppeteer, which it did here on line 14 by clicking the button that's in the page here. But for some reason, this is not captured here inside of our DevTools, as in our node client did not print out the error. So alert message, dialog message was not printed out. So we have to figure out why that is. Second thing is that we need to find an easy way to rerun this. So let me see if I can just refresh the browser. But that doesn't do it. Okay, if anyone is familiar with how to rerun this without restarting this, that would be helpful. If not, we'll start asking ChatGPT. So, so ChatGPT. Okay, so we're gonna go to chat and we're gonna say, we ran the above code. So this is we're kind of stuck. I don't really have theories around exactly how to rerun this from the DevTools, except for killing the process and starting it again. So this is what it's suggesting here as well, which is not ideal. Hi, Kevin. But for the time being, we can do that. It's just going to take a little bit more time. So let's keep going so we can actually make some progress on this. Okay, so we have this and we have this test. It seems like the page here, the button gets pressed, but we cannot leverage this code. For some reason, it doesn't break into here. So the way I'm going to demonstrate this again is I'm looking to get into breakpoint number 19 once Chromium runs, but it doesn't seem like it's happening. It's waiting for the page. And then nothing basically happens. So something is broken here, basically. So what we're going to do, we're going to copy this test, even though ChatGPT probably has this test already, but there's no easy way to reference it, to just say to it, hey, this test. So we're just going to copy and paste code. That's usually your best bet. With these language models, you kind of want to give it as much context as possible. So I'm going to give the whole code and I'm going to say, based on the index.html. So as you can see, this can become very tedious and manual. So I'm copying and pasting index.html into it based on this index. This code never gets executed. So now it has enough context to kind of make sense of it. Let's see how good of a job it does. So it's saying you're right. The issue is that page on dialog event listener is being added after the button is clicked. So the alert might have already been triggered before. And this is where you're waiting for it to be rewritten. That's why it's essential to modularize the code as small as possible. Later, as the tooling gets developed, we might not have this problem because it will be a little bit more automated, where it can maybe take code from your VS Studio Code. It would know about it, kind of like Copilot tries to do, and then feed it into it automatically so you don't have to copy and paste. And this is one of the other things that we're trying to tackle. Okay, so this is what it did. I'm almost about to paste this in, but I'm also just going to check what is currently calling the dialog event. To me, it seems like this button is just calling a function. And I really want to capture the result of with. I'm just going to pause here. Is everybody, I see, okay, 1 second. Kevin can hear. Kevin, can you hear? Okay. Sorry, guys, can you just give me thumbs up if you can hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. I just want to make sure that maybe Kevin is just having some issues. Okay, cool. Awesome. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Okay, excellent. Okay, so I asked this event. I wasn't sure exactly what's calling it, so I just want to see what the result we got here from them. So it's saying update your welcome.js, so we can simply copy and paste this. We can, I guess, trust it that it's doing the right thing. We can always compare it. When functions are small, it's very easy to compare. So it's going to return an error. Okay, cool. So there's not much else different here except for this line 17. I'm just going to go with it. And then it's saying update the Puppeteer code, which is page evaluate and browser call. So this code is slightly different. First of all, the button click happens. Then we have this evaluate function, which is a function that gets evaluated called show welcome. So I'm just going to see, because next update Puppeteer text script. Let's see if it's giving us context, so we can kind of stay with it instead of, letting it, because as our project grows,
Look at and remember a card in the middle of the deck. Got it? I'm going to try and catch it.
Okay, cool. Are you guys still here?
Sorry, what was that? Is that something commercial or somebody?
Yeah, this guy, I have no idea what he was doing. He basically, and do you guys saw this?
Yeah, I didn't even know you can play videos on your Zoom like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought somebody played a commercial or something.
Wow. I've, as you live life, you think you've seen it all, but it's very, very interesting. Sorry about that. I really apologize. Not something I was able to.
Enough for my lady. See,
Oops. Oops. I mean,
hello.
I think it's crashing, right? He's doing Zoom crashing. I think.
How do we remove him? Is there a way?
Mute it. You can mute all, I guess. Just go for mute all.
Okay. No, I put him in a waiting room so he can be on his own.
Nice.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a Zoom crash, right? Why you come to technical stuff and then?
You've seen that before, Kevin?
No, actually, I haven't, but I've read it right all along in the pandemic. Zoom crashing, people are saying actually sometimes somebody goes to students and do some inoperative stuff. I've seen, I heard it of that.
Wow.
But whatever, right? It's real world.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to paste this code. I'm going to change it for us, and then I'm going to run it, and I'm going to see what we get from it. So we still have the server running. We're going to rerun the node script, and then we're going to go to our Chrome.
So does this replace the tutorials better than watching YouTube tutorial? Like, is this the better way to use ChatGPT and then get going of any Puppeteer or let's say some other, if you're trying to do?
I would say it's a good start because it's very tailored to what you already know. Usually with tutorials, how do you usually use them? Do you find yourself like scrolling to different areas of this tutorial or like skipping the first 2 minutes or 10 minutes?
I do that. I generally go to Udemy or whatever plural site, and then actually I did happen to watch ChatGPT with somebody on the YouTube this morning. I was doing same thing, like something I'm not interested, just skip ahead and then come back or whatever, right? I was doing that. So
yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I like it as a workflow. Like just like, hey, I want to start this and just to gain some understanding and then go for a tutorial. But again, it really depends on your style, right? It could be very helpful.
yeah, I'm actually found it very amazing. I was like refrained myself getting to ChatGPT world, but this morning I was studying a React, and then somehow I ended up, you know how you do, right? Like you can't stay on. I was trying to do a React tutorial on Udemy, and then I stumbled upon your Meetup, and then from there somebody given some other link from your YouTube link to some other YouTube link, and then started getting into ChatGPT. I'm actually amazed. I know it was very like I was asking all sorts of questions like how to become a React expert, how to become a front-end developer with React and CSS. It was giving me some of the steps. I will ask her how to be a mentally tough, resilient, and some coworker gives you a negative feedback. It's I like it. I'm actually I see how it's better than Google.
Yeah, it's definitely more tailored to you. I would say there is something that could be complementary. I think I didn't put it here. So usually if you've been to Stack Overflow and let's say you found some problem that you wanted an answer on as you're going through a tutorial and you're searching Stack Overflow or Google, it becomes, it's on your own again. You're trying to research, you're trying to find good information based on somebody else's experience, which is not as personalized to you. So there's this other thing called Find, which is very similar. It's also using ChatGPT 4 underneath, and you can ask any problems, and it's a developer specific. So I would say if you have all the tools in your tool belt, like you have the Find, you have ChatGPT, you can expedite a lot of the projects that you're wanting to do, And if you were saying like Angular or React expert or however, you now don't have to be, because it's so confusing, right? Everybody's telling you like you should do React. React is better now than Angular, than this. And I don't think it's possible for one human being to ever catch up. But if you have this tool that can help you be a little bit more agnostic framework wise, then you can just convert any of your JavaScript code or any code in general and make it run on different frameworks, platforms, you just become a little bit more flexible, you know? Okay, so I'm just gonna go back into our inspector here. I think we had DevTools, but I'm just gonna open it again. Okay, I'm gonna run it. Chromium is gonna start again. Okay, and we're gonna kind of go through this. Okay, it's gonna get evaluated. And even right now, I don't even know really what evaluate does. As long as this is working, I'm not so concerned. Once it stops working, then that's where we're gonna have to investigate a little more. But to your point is like, you can get to a certain level without having a lot of background knowledge, which is also beneficial because you don't want to get stuck on learning, for example, evaluate for a day and a half where the tooling can do this for you, you know? But we are still having a problem. This didn't do what we wanted it to do. Okay, actually it did. Result of show welcome, error message, non-existent is not a function. Okay, so I think we achieved our goal for this, which is great. So I'm gonna make some commits so you guys have access to it. I created a new branch called April 16th. I'm gonna add it. So, and I'm also going to add our existing conversation so you guys can have the questions, what we kind of put in here, which was, you know, that only took us 20 minutes, so it wasn't so bad. And we actually got somewhere, which is great. I'm just gonna make a copy of this. April 16.md. Okay, so I'm just gonna commit, and you guys can use this now. Anytime something is working, I always recommend to commit it. It's always good. You have a history of this, and then you can keep going. I'm gonna commit the transcript. And then we have our new code. And really the kind of the epiphany here was this. Puppeteer. Sorry, I'm just gonna page evaluate to call show welcome. Okay, so that's published now. Let's just go to our GitHub. I'll make a pull request to our main. This is April 16th. And once we have all the changes, I'll be able to do that. Okay, so now that we have this error, okay, hopefully. Okay, so now that we have this error, we can keep going. So we want to feed this error back into ChatGPT, and then we would want it to fix our code. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I thought there was a question. So I'm just gonna ask you to fix our code. Okay, we have about 9 minutes left. So I am going to pause here because I think it'd be useful just to go over some of the other things that we are doing. And then we can have a little bit of a discussion around these things if you guys are interested. So I'll start. Is that okay? Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so first, again, I just want to reiterate the benefits of this community. If you can join, there's a lot of interesting things that are happening here. that you can see. It's very active, and you can get a lot of advantages. So if you're doing this for work, or if there is some projects that you're contemplating, or you need some advice around projects, definitely a great place to go and just pick someone's brain and make sure that you're heading in the right direction, because there is just too much. I don't want to use the word hype, but there's just too much happening in this space right now to kind of get a good grasp. So this is a very, very helpful place, and I highly recommend it to check this out. Okay, so we did our code. I'm just going to merge our test here, so everything is inside of this repository. And we will continue building this to be automated. I'm not sure if we're going to continue building this during the meetup, because depends on people's level of interest of specific things. We may adjust certain things, but ultimately this repository is going to aim to build the tooling around automated testing using prompting and ChatGPT. So we did this. I have set up some hours, like 30-minute meeting increments. If someone wants, there is some times available on my calendar. If someone has a project that they're looking to work on, or they want to discuss some pros and cons, or they need something, feel free to use this calendar. If you'd like, you can schedule a call with me, and I'll be happy to be there. Find is the next tool that is there any questions so far? I don't want to go too fast, but
One question for you, George.
Yeah.
Someone had a good comment from the chat. How would you test for accessibility? Like how would you go about testing for accessibility using ChatGPT?
okay, perfect. So for this code specifically, so what I would do, obviously a lot of the accessibility is going to be inside HTML for a web at least. It's not necessarily going to be in the JavaScript. So I would just go and take my HTML code. And I am going to say, can you check it for accessibility? And fix the code if anything is missing. So this is how you would approach it. Normally, the flow would be that we use something like Lighthouse to test accessibility of the website. You do all the due diligence. You'd have to, there are even accessible browsers now that are being built that I can share the link after the meetup as well. But this is one way to address accessibility issues. Now, again, as the UI gets more complex, you're going to have to manage focus, and sometimes it's not perfect. So let's go through an example of how we tackle this. So let's see. So right now, it added the role button and an ARIA label called show welcome message. Okay, so this is your basic, I guess, first attempt at accessibility. And I'm going to commit this. I think because I merged it already, I'm going to have to move to main. Okay. That's a very good question, though, because I know it's very important to make sure that it works. So that's one part of the accessibility is this. We can also ask about screen readers. So would this work well on all screen readers? So JAWS, NVDA, VoiceOver, those are really the top ones. It's whenever you're doing that, it's a level of testing is very, very laborious, and it takes a lot of time, and it's very difficult to usually get good perspective. So this can help. I'll just ask it a follow-up question because I don't see it's answering the way I wanted it. Would I need to make any changes to the above HTML in order for it to work on? And then I can choose just one of these. you kind of want to be specific sometimes, and sometimes you want to be generic. So it's kind of a bit of a balancing act. But if you're specific for voiceover here, let's see if it gives us any extra context. And then you can keep asking for every single screen reader that you may have wanted to support, for example. So this code will work above. It's fine because you have the role and ARIA label based on the standard. Okay, I hope this answers the question. And if this is something that's important to people, then we can definitely keep investigating that. The hot topic from this week is auto GTP. This is the repository. Essentially, it's this whole idea of automatically allowing a GTP to be an agent, and it would speak to another agent, and then those agents would exchange information. So one example that is, I'm not sure if it's depicted here, but let's say company A has their own ChatGPT, auto ChatGPT agent, and company B has their own auto ChatGPT agent. These two agents could communicate, and on the company's sides, they could schedule meetings, they could talk to the sales teams. So this is a big thing that happened this week. I kind of strongly recommend that you listen to this video and have a look. If there's any questions about it now, I'm happy to give more context, but just let me know. Okay, there's also a competitive one from Facebook called Bobby, so you can use that. And last thing I want to mention is that we have a hackathon on April 26th, is from 12 to 8 p.m. More information will be updated soon. There are a few judges that are going to be available. One of them is a 10-time author on the in the web space. So he has about 10 books out. He's very well known in the industry, so he's going to be one of the judges. And hopefully there will be other people. There's going to be some more information as we kind of approach the deadline. But if you do have time, April 26th, we're going to kick it off at noon. Tell you some of the constraints about what we're trying to do, OpenAI, ChatGPT. So basically using that technology, there's going to be some hands-on support from me during your projects. And if you have something on your mind that you're working on that you would like for it to come to life and you can leverage this tooling and you have a great idea, I would strongly recommend that you have that you try to see if you're interested in going. So these are all the announcements. We're about 2 minutes away. I'm so sorry that I'm speaking so fast and I'm kind of trying to get through it, but given that we only have 40 minutes, I didn't want to waste any of it. But yeah, the last 2 minutes are for us. So if we want to talk about anything, or if anyone has any ideas, suggestions, anything they'd like to hear next time, just let me know. And yeah, we'll go from there. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Our next meetup is going to be next week. We will be communicating on Messenger or on the message board or email, or however you'd like to get in touch. And if there is anything that comes up, I'll keep you updated, and I'll let you know what some of the new things that are going to happen this week, and we can kind of review. And obviously, we're going to work on the hands-on project as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thanks, George. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.